Welcome to another episode of Listen to Nothing, the podcast where we delve into the lives of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Today's guest was Grant Higamonster Higa. He's a seasoned powerlifter and strongman competitor known for his remarkable strength and dedication to the sport. In our conversation, we explore his journey through life, the pursuit of balance, and the lessons he learned from weightlifting. We recorded this episode while Grant was in his happy place, the gym. You might notice the sound drops a few times, but bear with us because what he shares is truly worth it. From his early days growing up in a farm in Hawaii to becoming a respected figure in the training community. Grant's story is one of passion, perseverance, and finding one's path. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by the incredible journey of Grant Higamonster Higa. Grant Higa, the Higa Monster.
What's going
Welcome.
on?
Dude, thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. Just talk about life. You've been a
Yeah,
huge inspiration for me. I mean that from my heart, man. Like, as you know, I live in Hawaii now and I've heard of this thing called aloha, and you represent that. You emanate that. You are aloha, brother.
no, man. Thanks, man. It's it's just part of just who I am. Obviously, growing up and stuff, and it's carried on, obviously, right from all my upbringing, and then hopefully it carries on, obviously, with it's just basically just upbringing and just a lifestyle that you are kind of ingrained with, growing up, surrounded by all your mana and all that stuff. And even though I've been up here since '95, just still making sure that it still carries with me, and is passed on to my kids, and just you can take a guy out of Hawaii, you're never gonna take the local out of him, right? 'Cause you know how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's going on with you, man? How's life?
Life's good. Life's good. I started this podcast a little bit ago. I've been doing a YouTube channel about mindfulness,
Mhm.
staying active, still using my person as my test model for everything. Something that
Awesome.
I'm something that I'm sure you can, relate to.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Nah, we're a reflection of our lifestyle and our values, right? So, we can, you know, it's like a habit that turns on automatically with no issues whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have like these days where it can be like super stressful, right? But like how do we cope with stressful days, right? Like stress is always going to be in our lives and stuff, but like how do you cope with it? How do you handle it, and how do you bounce back from it, right? That's
Mhm.
the that's the strength that is hard to achieve, in my opinion, as compared to like lifting weights in the gym and stuff. So
Yeah. Do you feel, Grant, that you have to constantly remind yourself, you have to constantly put yourself in check? Like, does it take extra effort, or have you been at it so long now that it's almost habitual?
I think it's you have to remind yourself per se, but I think it's if you're prepared for what I call like organized chaos,
Mm.
you know, and then you have a better approach to it. So like, with my daughters and stuff, they play select ball. It's a busy lifestyle, trying to, you know, keep up with their schedule, my schedule, and all that stuff. But if you can have some sort of plan and organization while preparing for that, so that when that time comes, it's not as stressful. Like it's looming, right? But it's like
Mhm.
if you know ahead of time what to prepare for, how to divide and conquer things and stuff, it makes it easier for me and my wife because it's
Mm.
like we want to be there as much as we can for both of our kids, realistically, that can't happen all the time, right? So, like, we try to figure out a plan. Okay, like, so maybe you can go see the oldest girl, and then I'll go see the other one. And then there's also times when sometimes both of us can be there, which is great, right?
Hmm.
But can't happen all the time, you know. But organized chaos is something that I think we kind of is a normal thing in the Higa household.
Hmm.
But if you plan ahead, it'll make it a lot more simpler. So planning, flights, who's going to go where, rental cars, hotels, and all that kind of stuff, right? Taking off from work, all that stuff is a big factor. But if you got a if you got a handle on it, I think that helps quite a bit.
Hmm. Interesting. Excellent. Excellent point. So that brings up two questions for me. One is you're learning to plan this organized chaos. How much of that has to do with your growing up on a farm, and how
Mhm.
much of it has to do with your resistance training life that you've pretty much committed to?
Yeah, I think like growing up on a farm in Hawaii most of my life and stuff. It's like we had some early days. Like school starts at whatever 8 o'clock, but 6 o'clock, my dad's waking me and my brothers up. We gotta go do some chores. Like that's not like not normal in you know today's generation.
Mm,
Like if you told that to a kid right now, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" But like it was what had to be done, right? So like it was done where it seemed normal per se after a while.
mhm,
But even though it was tough at first, but I guess it was like thought normal in my household and stuff. So, getting up early and doing things like that kind of transferred over to my lifting and stuff. I was naturally a big country strong farm kid. I never lifted weights until in college,
mm,
so I was like country farm strong and stuff. Like sophomore year, I had a weight training class in high school, but I never seriously got into lifting weights into college and stuff. And I had just moved on my parents' house, no car. Was trying to still finish college and then also work part time and stuff. And then one of my coworkers, I was working at a moving company on the Big Island, and a guy named Keith Daniels. He still does equip bench press powerlifting to this day. But
mm,
Keith was like 165, and he could pause bench press like 325. So I thought that was kind of like holy cow. I'm like that was maybe like 210 at the time. There's no way I could even press like one plate, and pause that. And Keith told me this. He's like, hey, if you are serious and you want to go to the gym, I'll pick you up. But I'm picking you up at 4:45 a.m. because the gym opens at 5. I'm like, dude, you kidding me? Like 5 o'clock. And he's like, hey, because we got time to work out for like an hour, 15 minutes, shower, then get something to eat before we go to work at 7:30 a.m. So I was like, oh my God, this is like that's pretty brutal and extreme, but whatever,
mm,
I'm
mm,
game. He's willing to pick me up and take me to the gym when I had no vehicle, right? I remember pulling up to the gym. The gym was called Physiques in Hilo, Hawaii. It's no longer there. And we're waiting outside for the gym to open. And what kind of tripped me out was that there was about 12 to 15 people waiting in line for
mm,
this gym to open, right? And it was a mixed mash of people like truck drivers, teachers, whatever, businessmen and all that. And after going multiple times with Keith to train early at 5 a.m., it kind of like opened my eyes like, wow, these are people who have like, children, professions, and all that kind of stuff, but they're willing to wake up and get this workout done despite the early sacrifice of waking up early to be there at 5 a.m. So, it showed me that it can be done
mm,
if you put your mind to it, right? Because you know how it is in today's, even back then, like uh work things happen, all of a sudden last minute things will happen where you think you can get a workout at lunchtime or after work, and then something comes up. Next thing you know, you can't work out, or you're too tired to work out after a long day. So nowadays with me, when I like prepare for a powerlifting meet, for example, and if I know I got a pretty full schedule, I will go and work out early in the morning because I'd rather sacrifice, that early time to wake up to work out and get a good, efficient workout with no distractions instead of trying to fit it in after maybe a very busy day of, whether it's work involved or family involved and picking up one of my daughters to go to practice and, stuff like that. I'd rather have more peace of mind getting it done early AM instead of none at all,
Mm,
because
mm.
you shouldn't be competing in a powerlifting contest or a strongman contest if you're not prepared for it. So um, I think that's very important. And when I first, started working out in Hilo with Keith Daniels, that changed me for sure.
Wow. And so that's always been a part of you for a really long time. I mean, Jocko Willink
Yeah,
has made it famous, the 4:30 in the morning workouts, but
yeah.
Higa's been
1992.
doing it forever.
Yeah, 1992 is when I first started getting serious into, weight training and stuff, and like I said, there was a lot of people there, whether it was lifters, the 5:15 a.m. aerobics class that's full of like 20 people in there, right? People are making a commitment to do whatever, passion they had in the fitness world to be there, right?
Hmm,
Which means like, they got to wake up earlier to get up, brush your teeth, and then drive to the gym, right? So it really kind of like opens up your eyes.
sure, sure. So he kinda opened up that time of day for you. You felt a certain, responsibility to him if he's gonna pick you up. So there's a little bit of accountability going on
For
both
sure.
sides. Um, if you were to, say, advise someone, like, to you and I who are disciplined, getting up at 4, getting up at 3, getting up at 2 to get it done is a no-brainer. It's a non-issue. But for
Yeah,
a lot of people, it's the biggest obstacle.
agreed.
How
Yeah,
would you like, so, like, sometimes I wonder, is discipline something that's learned or is it inherent? And I feel it's easier to motivate than it is to pull discipline out of somebody, but they're 2 different things.
yeah. They're two different things. I mean, first of all, if you make a commitment to do something, whether it's a 5K run, powerlifting contest, or whatever, if you're going to commit to it, the loss is on you if you don't put in your best effort. Right?
Mhm,
Nobody else is gonna is gonna pay for it, right? So if you're gonna pay, like, say, for a powerlifting meet, that an entry fee is like maybe close to $150. If it's out of state, you gotta, gas money or airfare to, and hotel and all that stuff. If you don't show up at your best because you didn't commit to being prepared, that's your loss, right? I think discipline is learned from, your family, friends, or training partners that are willing to be accountable to be there with you. And like I said, this guy Keith was living about 20 minutes outside of Hilo itself, so he's getting away earlier than me. Is driving and then will come and is willing to pick me up before I even got my own first car, right? And then to take me to the gym and then take me to work even after, right? Like I can't let that guy down, right?
no,
And there's something also too to be said that he obviously saw something in me. I assume that he was willing to offer that and do this for me. You know
mm,
what I mean?
mm,
So, and then here we are. I'll be 54 this year, and I'm still able to compete, and I still enjoy it.
mm,
So, I've told this story numerous times about Keith to a lot of people, but that was really a big moment in my life to stay disciplined.
mm,
Because you can show people the door to the gym, right? But you can't force them to the door unless they want to do it themselves.
yeah,
So, you know, um, I'm glad that my kids, you know, have learned a little bit of that discipline as well. because if whatever dreams you want to accomplish for whatever sport or passion that you have, it has to come with a lot of sacrifice and time and effort from your own self,
Mm,
because coach can't want it more than you, right? You got to want it.
yeah,
Nobody else. No matter how we want the best for everybody, it's got to come from within you.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a lot of commitment as well, but you know, I love the story about Keith, and I wonder sometimes if sometimes when you're approaching the bar, and you really don't want to, you don't really want to do it, or you're trying hard to find that motivation. You got like Keith on one shoulder, you got Jesse on the other shoulder, just being like, "Come on, Higa,
Yeah.
get after it."
I mean, Jesse Morandi was another guy, that when I was starting to do strongman after I met Jesse, like I was living in Renton with my wife for a bit, and then Jesse had moved from Squim to live in Renton for a bit too. And we used to meet up in a Gold's Gym, in Renton, and 5 a.m. workouts. I'm like, hey, we're gonna do 20 rep squats, this day. I'm like, bro, like 20 rep squats at 5 a.m. or so in the morning, like that's like unheard of, right? You know how it is when you get out of bed and everything's got to get like kind of woken up a bit, synapses firing and all that. But imagine like getting up to like even 4 or 5 pounds and trying to squat it for 20 reps before 6 a.m. in the morning. That's not freaking normal, right? But me, Jesse, Pete Markoff, we used to meet, and would be there pushing each other, and it helped. Again, just kind of solidifying that discipline. Okay, if you're going to commit to doing a strongman contest at that time when I was doing that, this is what we got to do.
Mm,
And to me, this is I think the greatest reward of it, because if you can get used to training at an early AM hour like that, when you do a contest that starts like at say 12 p.m. or 10 a.m., that's like sleeping in.
mm,
Like
mm,
I go in with the approach like, oh my god, I've gone through worse in training because I was up doing a heavy squat session at 5 a.m. and stuff. So it seems easier, and I think that you know makes me reflect on like, hey, you know what, the hard work, the training and preparation, you know, this should be gravy compared to what I've been through.
mm, beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. How do you feel about signing up for a meet? Like, you talked about organized chaos, and we all have these obstacles and challenges in our lives. I found personally that when I signed up for either a strongman or powerlifting meet, it changed the way people perceived me and perceived my going to the gym or working out. For example, if and my dietary restrictions. If I say, "Well, I got a meet coming up."
Yeah,
All right, I'm not gonna call you when you're at the gym. I'm not gonna bother you with your meal, or I'm not gonna invite you out Friday night because I know you're committed. Does this make sense?
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Um.
So
Uh. I think when going back to, if you commit to meet, that's all on you. Okay. Before, I used to be like really strict on, like say, diet, and like, okay, I'm not gonna like drink a beer for 2 weeks and all that stuff too. And it was tough. Don't get me wrong, it would be tough and stuff. But sometimes though, uh, it got to the point where like, you know what? Okay, if I do have a drink, it's not gonna hurt me either. And I think the task at hand is getting those reps and sets in on what's on the program. But the supporting cast that comes from your family and friends, that I feel that they will still love me for who I am, whatever I do. You know, and if that is my passion, I'm going to do that on the side. They're going to support me no matter what. You know, but even if somebody has to call you or invite you out to something like that, it's still on you to make that decision of, are you going to make the bad choice or the good choice, right?
mm,
So it's still going to come down to yourself, in my opinion.
So accountability. Accountability
Yeah,
is a huge.
accountability accountability is on yourself, you
Yeah.
know. You
Yeah.
know, I can't blame anybody else for, making a poor decision, right? It's all on me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge topic and a huge important subject for this day and age of just being accountable,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
particularly accountable to yourself, your own actions.
Yeah, because the blame game's not going to work.
No.
Blame game doesn't work if you're not putting in the effort, the sacrifice, and the time that is needed to achieve whatever you want in life, whether it's work, play, hobbies, your family life. If you don't, you can't. And this is on a totally different spectrum, right? But how many times have we been to, like, say, funerals, right? And here comes the family member who hasn't talked to whoever had passed in like over 10 years. And they're the ones crying the most.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like, all you had to do is just like make a phone call, stop by,
Mm,
have a conversation with that loved one, right? But they're the ones that want to all of a sudden like throw themselves in the grave with them.
yeah.
It makes no sense, right? So, it's a different kind of accountability, but if you don't make the effort, yeah, it's funny how that works out.
For sure. For sure. And it's really not that difficult to pick up the phone.
No
It's
doubt. Yeah.
really not that difficult to walk through the
Yeah.
gym
Well,
door.
in today's age too, right? Like you and I are almost same age, right? But like we had like, hey, don't call me till after 9 p.m. because that's when the phone rates are cheaper.
True.
Postcard, now look at we have a Zoom meeting right now. We're actually talking live, like you're actually right across from me. You have FaceTime, Google Meet, and all that stuff. So it's like, I even tell my kids too, like, hey, don't forget to just, maybe just call your grandma, or, just say hi,
Mm,
because I mean, to see each other like this is it's amazing. Because when we grew up, we didn't have that, bud. You
yeah.
know, maybe you get a postcard or something, like, hey, I'm over here in Avalon, New Jersey, Grant. You know,
In Tuckahoe.
yeah, it's crazy, so it's different now, but also too, like, you know, you know, attitude and effort is key in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of advice would you have for someone who so I got this friend, he wants to get back in shape. He
Hmm.
tore his shoulder. He played football, so he's a bigger guy. He's
Yeah,
Polynesian descent. He's kind of a mutt. He's got a lot in him, but he has the potential to put on a lot of muscle. He's
yeah,
apparently a fast runner. Had shoulder surgery not too long ago, put on 40 pounds. He wants to get back in shape. Um, he knows he knows what he needs to do.
yeah,
Knows what he's supposed to do with his diet, but he's just not delivering.
yeah. I mean, it's that's kind of a fine line, right? He obviously knows what it takes to be at utmost performance, right? But even with encouragement from others, if he doesn't make that step to do something like, okay, if my shoulder is injured, it doesn't mean I can do other things with my other arm, or leg exercises, or, just some other things to stay active where he can still work on his cardio, like, say, going on some stair climbs or something like that. But I hope he can get out of that and find that within him to, get back to where he was before, you know,
Mm,
because if not, the further you kind of just pass, oh, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. Next thing you know, it's compounding till like weeks later, months
mm,
later,
mm,
and then it's hard to come back up that hill.
yeah.
You know, other people want the best of us at all times, right? But we're the
Amen.
ones that have to put in the effort. We're always going to go back to that. It's going to come from within you. You know, we
Amen.
can't want it more than you, and we don't want to. It's always tough when you like, oh man, that person, they could have been like really awesome. They were so, awesome. That's always kind of sad when that happens and stuff. But That's life, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have to you're 100% right, and they have to travel the path that they need to travel to take them to the present, to where they
Yeah,
are,
yeah, for
and
sure. And they know they have the tools,
mm,
you know. They have the tools, especially if they did it before and then got injured. They know what it takes, you know. So, it's tough to dig in, and it's easy to just say, ah, I'll try it next week or next month.
mm,
Next thing you know, years later, all right,
yeah,
you'll be that person.
yeah, yeah, well, I've found you to be an incredibly, inspiring, motivating, and very supportive person. I just we were reminiscing a few minutes ago about how long it's been and this and that, and I found the YouTube video of when I visited you. It's 12 years ago.
Oh man, bro.
Dude,
Wow.
your youngest daughter is so tiny in the background. Hold on. You just got muted again. You just got muted again.
I'm sorry. Your caller ID, I was saying, still on my phone, is remember when you had that pretty intense workout and you're feeling sick?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll send you a screenshot of it after. Oh,
Yeah, no, I was watching it the other day. I'm like, "Oh, man." But the thing that struck me, rewatching the video, and it probably struck me the first time and being there, um, aside from your littlest one in the background moving
yeah.
the box jump around like she's pushing a prowler and this and that. But you kept saying, like when I was doing the prowler, you're still moving. Don't give up. It's still going. It wasn't, you were encouraging that I was actually still moving the thing where you were actually reaching down and pulling me up. You know what I mean? Instead of don't give up, it was so different. Um, and I think that's a special talent, but
Thank
it's
you.
something that we can learn as well.
Yeah. Well, like people took their time to help me, right?
Mm,
And um, I never played sports when I was a kid growing up, right? I started sports basically later in my life with the sport of powerlifting, right? Because I was just working on a farm. That's the way my life was, right? Now, yeah, is there regret? Like, oh my God, I wish I could be playing like all my friends were playing sports and all that stuff. But I also don't regret any of the teachings that I got from living the lifestyle we had. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline, and things that helped me become who I am today and stuff. But the people that who helped me with lifting and pushing through, even when you question yourself, is something that I feel is really important to build other people with.
mm,
You got to give them, you got to encourage them and think that even though they're going to a dark place where you feel like puking your guts out from doing that prowler, like you said, or like I can't do this anymore. But if they end up doing it for like an extra 5 or 10 seconds more, or push that sled an extra couple of feet or even inches more, it builds confidence within them. You know, even when I help like referee strongman contests and stuff, every inch matters in a contest. Every rep matters in a contest. And you try to encourage the competitors to keep pushing, because I've seen it happen numerous times where, like, let's say if you and I are carrying a heavy front carry sandbag in front of us, okay? And we're going against each other. I want to beat you, you want to beat me and stuff. But then if you beat me by like an inch because I dropped just before, that will bug me, bro. Because I'm like, why did I give up? Why did I not take that extra step further, right?
mm,
And I've seen it happen on like overall placings where it matters. Like you end up losing a half point overall to somebody like say from making the podium 1, 2, 3. So I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to myself. I've seen it happen in numerous contests. So to me, like whenever I help referee any contest, it's about, judging all the events fairly
Mhm.
and strict, but also encouraging them to push beyond the limits that they think they're not capable of.
Mm.
And obviously you don't want anybody to get hurt, but mental toughness is a big key that I really believe in. And it's correlated with discipline,
Mm.
because you got to go to a dark place sometimes to push through. And
Yeah.
and that has happened numerous times for me, as you've seen it, like when I was with Animal Pack doing these cage lifts and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to commit to doing a weight for like say 20 reps and more, you got to really go to a dark place and dig in and see if you can come out of
Yeah.
it. And I've been fortunate that I have been able to.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I wonder because you mentioned there mental toughness, and one of the things that we all deal with is a mental block. So if we are tough enough to have mental block, are we not tough enough to have mental toughness? You
Sure.
know,
Yeah, for sure. And it's it's really easy to give up and quit, right? But
super.
even if it seems like a very small amount of being successful at something, if you believe that you can do it, it'll help overcome a lot of things in life.
Yep.
Whether it's with our workplace, in the gym, any other challenges we have in our life, we have to have a good positive outlook that we can overcome.
Mm.
Because I remember learning this one time when I was younger in powerlifting. You know, if I'm going to go squat a weight that I've never squatted before in the gym, and I'm going to attempt to do this at a meet in front of all these people and lights and the judges in front of me, it is scary.
Mm.
But if you don't visualize yourself doing that, chances are that it's going to be tough to make it a successful lift.
Mm.
So the moment you feel any doubt in your head, it just reduces your chances. So you need to always think positive and nothing negative. You need to visualize, yup, I'm going to execute this lift in the proper way possible, and I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to go get it. As soon as you think anything negative, your chances have dwindled, in my opinion.
Yep. Yep. So I'm sure you've approached, let's just say, 700 pounds on the deadlift, right? You've pulled that. You pulled seven before. There's times when you've missed it, I'm sure. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Whether it be in the gym or on the platform, but you can do it.
Yeah.
So is it in that knowing, is it in that experience that doesn't allow you to throw in the towel? Like I feel like the habit energy for most people is to just, I can't do it anymore. I'm old. I'm giving up.
When I was younger, when I actually first met Michelle and stuff, I really took it very seriously, and I would get upset at myself for not doing well and stuff. And Michelle actually set me straight. She's like, if you're not doing this because you're not having fun while also being competitive, then you probably shouldn't be doing this at all. You know, and it was a big, reality check slap in the face per se, because I was taking it to the point of like, I need to do this because I need to, be this and stuff. But here's the way I see it nowadays as a master's lifter. Like I said, I'll be 54 later this year. But I still feel the strongest that I'm at ever since I started lifting in '92.
Mm.
I've been, pretty much injury free, and I'm able to enjoy life with, my kids, my wife, and do things that are fun and have no regrets about it. So to be healthy, to have, a good family and relationships with my family and friends, that's more important to me than being a flash in the pan per
Mm.
se in
Mm.
powerlifting or strongman. And I've seen it happen actually with within, especially like strongman and stuff, you'll see a lot of guys, man. They're on top of the world like 2 or 3 years and stuff, and then all of a sudden they're not here.
Mm,
Like, and it saddens me sometimes because that was their thing. I need to be here on top of the world and stuff, right? But
mm,
longevity in lifting, whether it's strongman or powerlifting, yeah, that's really cool. Longevity in life, in mental and physical, life is important, and to enjoy experiences, to be able to, wake up and kiss my daughter good morning or hug them
mm,
at night and stuff. I realize that's more important. And now what I do, I still am competitive when I compete, but uh, it's not like it's not going to pay the bills per se. Does that make sense?
yes. Yeah.
You know. And I think that just having that kind of longevity with what I've done over my career is that makes me satisfied.
Mm,
Like once in a while, I'll just get some random guy that'll message me like, "Dude, I used to watch your videos all the time and what you did. That was so awesome and stuff." And so it has that residual effect even after all these years where it affects people,
mhm,
and that's cool because that means hopefully I made a positive difference with what I've done, whether it's in lifting, whether it's like my friendship with you, even after all these years and stuff. Like, if you need me, I'm there and stuff.
for sure.
That's all that matters, to me.
For sure. I wonder if there was a identity shift. So that point where you were taking things way too serious, Michelle reminded you that there should be fun involved, and your life didn't depend on pulling a certain weight or squatting a certain weight. So maybe
Yeah,
your identity at that time was, you're still trying to develop who you are and you're identifying with Grant Higa, the power lifter, rather than, and now you're Grant Higa, the father, the mentor, the friend, the ambassador for Aloha, all these different things.
yeah. No, agreed. I mean, like especially like before we had children too, like it's a different kind of mentality. And then when you have kids, you know, it's not about you now. It's about, doing what is best for them, and their number one responsibility. So, that's one thing I'm fortunate for where like I know a lot of older guys that they can barely, if they drop a pin on the ground, they can barely go down and pick it up or even tie their shoes. I don't want to be that
Yeah,
guy. Like,
yeah,
yeah, cool. I'm still able to be strong and lift a pretty decent amount of weight, but at least I'm still pretty healthy and just enjoying life. That's
yeah.
what matters.
Yeah, and it's those simple things, isn't it? You just reminded me from that pin drop reference. My kendo teacher, who passed in his 80s,
Mm,
uh, he used to tell me when I was in Japan that when he went to the onsen, the public baths, you've been to the hot springs, the public bath, he made it a point never to sit down. He said most of the older people, like when they're getting dressed and undressed,
yeah, yeah,
he would put his pants on and his socks on standing up to maintain balance into his 80s.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude, I think of that every morning. Like I wake up sore from whatever, and you know,
Yeah,
I make
yeah.
sure I stand up.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. It's important, and how you value that is the key too. If
Yeah,
that's not high in your values, then everything else will follow in the same path. I feel.
yeah. So how do you balance all of this? Like, so you're still lifting. I mean, you're still competing. You got two daughters that are fantastic softball players. You got a job. You got, clients. How do you balance all of it?
The balance kind of goes back to the organized chaos a bit, where your family has to come first, in my opinion.
Mm,
But here's how it could bounce back at me. It's like, yeah, I put my family first as much as it can beforehand, but my wife will actually put me in check too. Like, hey, like I know you want to be here, or do this with us and stuff, but you got this heavy squat or deadlift that is scheduled for today. Go take care of business, you know.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
having that, you know, that communication and gentle reminders from her
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
keep me in check too, you know. And working out is not just about lifting and mobility and stuff. Rest, the way you handle your fatigue. Fatigue comes from, you know, physically and mentally, and so it can sneak up on you real quick. And we all have those days.
Mm.
So
Mm.
just trying to not be so crushed from like not having a good lift as much as you wanted it to be,
Mm.
instead of like, all right, let's, clean slate and we're gonna go attack it better tomorrow, you know. And it happens, we all have those days. Everything's not gonna be perfect, and we're working around all these obstacles in order to succeed
Mm.
and have good training and stuff, but I also have to make sure that I'm leading by example as well too.
Yeah.
I work as a trainer and stuff, but I can't be telling people to do these exercises if I'm not maintaining that same values myself too, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and even like when I'm in off season, rather than being stuck in the gym, I like to change it up and do outside work.
Mm.
At least I'm still being active, but it breaks up the redundancy to me,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
come in with a cleaner slate, like in my head, where like, okay, now I'm ready to go squat under a bar.
Yeah.
I like that instead, especially here in the Northwest in the fall, winter, where weather is pretty foul outside. It's kind of nice when you get a nice sunny day, even it might be cold, 55 degrees out, to go do a workout outside.
Mm.
But it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always respected and seen that in you, that you lead by example and you live by example. Um,
Thank you.
I sometimes no, it's absolutely true. Like I scroll through the Instagram and I see, oh, Higa's doing this, oh, Higa's doing that. I gotta get back to the gym. I gotta move. I got those kettlebells sitting right there. So just pick them up. What are you waiting on? Um, so I thank you for that. I thank you for constantly being a reminder, and living it. You said to me once before that you don't care how what people think or say, something along these lines. You move your weight, you show what you can do on the platform, and
Yeah, talk
that's
is cheap, right? How you
yeah,
perform on the platform is going to show the true colors of how you've been preparing, in my opinion. You
yeah,
know, so like people like Old Haugen. Old just turned 80, I believe, and Old has still got one of the most incredible grip strengths I've ever seen. And he's still active and all that. So like, if I can, if Old can do that at his age, that's something I look forward to as well too. I
yeah.
got a funny story similar to that in here. One time we had a plank challenge here at the gym, and so like me and three other ladies here at work were doing a plank on the resistible. Okay, and you know, I'm still holding strong. I know I ain't got no six pack, but I feel pretty proud that a good solid core, right? And two of the girls, go down. So it's just me and 80-year-old Georgia Harper. At the time, she was 80, right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna let the old lady beat me, right? So I'm holding the plank and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, Georgia starts talking like, yeah, when I get home today, I'm gonna go make this awesome roast. I've been looking forward to making this roast. And I was, why are you talking? Like, shut up, And she kept going on and on. It was just really unwavering, I'm like, done, I quit, But she's like also an inspiration when she was here. She retired and she's living a great life right now. But we would always say, man, when I get her age, I want to be like her.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
and it's people like that that inspire me. You
Mm.
know, and I'm fortunate that I'm still able to lift pretty decent weight. Haven't had any major injuries, and just enjoy life, man. That's what's valued to me.
Mm. Mm. And so what keeps you lifting? So like you continue to compete. You're not just like maintaining. You're not,
Yeah.
what keeps you there?
I enjoy it, first of all, you know.
Mm,
I'm gonna lift in nationals in Salt Lake City, Utah this September. So I haven't lifted in nationals since 21. So it'll be good to get back on the platform and hopefully get that championship, back in my name. But I think I lift because I still enjoy it.
mm,
And I guess maybe on a smaller scale, it still kind of blows people's mind that I'm still lifting what I'm doing,
right.
apparently. And yeah, it's fun. Um, that's but like I do maybe like one or two a year because it's the schedule's so busy with the family and the kids and stuff that I don't want to miss out on any of those moments as much as possible.
Mm,
But yeah, I think it's still because it boils down that I still enjoy this,
mm,
and and I if I don't live for a while, I'm it doesn't make me happy. I
mm,
feel like I need to do something to be active and stuff.
mm,
I enjoy seeing the people at the gym from time to time. Like I saw Zach McCarley the other day at the gym. I don't get to see him a lot, but just chatting and having that rapport with like-minded people helps reinforce why you love lifting.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and that's important to me, and it helps me as well. A
mm,
lot of people say like, "Hey, you've done this for me," and very nice, kind words they said of how I've influenced them. But you know, I hope that a lot of people know too that others also influence me to keep me grounded to what I like to do as well.
mhm, mhm. Would you, this is kind of a two-part question. So if you don't lift for too long, do you go into a kind of
I
downward
get
spiral?
antsy.
You get antsy.
I get
Okay,
antsy. Yeah.
gotcha. But so
I don't go into a spiral. I just get antsy. Like, hey, get moving. Do something.
right,
Do
right.
something. It doesn't have to be under a bar or anything. Just get outside. Do something. Go for a hike. Do something. You know. Be active.
Gotcha.
Being sedentary is not my lifestyle. I should say.
Mm,
I mean, and don't get me wrong, we'll have those days where it's actually kind of nice to just lie on the couch for a bit.
mhm,
Be home, not be stuck in a commute. We all have them, but I think it's more I get more hands,
gotcha, gotcha.
or it
So
seems like something's off. Like wait, because it's normally bang bang bang. Like whoa, why are we slowing down here?
mm, mm, yeah. So, like you said, when you go somewhere, sometimes you'll find a gym or you'll go outside and find some rocks to lift or a hike to do. Um, your advice to someone who doesn't really want to go to a gym, um, can find, say, a half hour, what would you kind of recommend they try to do?
Well, encourage them, but not force their hand.
Mm,
But think of it as a way. I feel especially too for people my age or older. Do it for your family as well too,
mm,
because I wanna see like my kids graduate college, get married, have kids of their own one day and stuff. That's the bigger picture in my
mm,
opinion. So being active and involved, that motivates me, I feel, you know,
mm,
to just share those experiences later in my life while still being active, you know. I wanna be able to, you know, walk with them with no issues. You know, yeah, let's go on a trip somewhere. Let's go. And the lifting that can always be there, in my opinion, if I still choose to do so. But if you're someone who is, just sedentary, and it's hard, right? Like smartphones computers, everything is just we have this need to see something on our phone right away and stuff, you know. And it's like when we grew up, right? Like we didn't have smartphones like this. When we're riding in the car with mom and dad, we're forced to look at like stoplights and all around us and, do slug bug games or
Punch button.
add,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, add up the numbers on the license plate or in front of you and try to do quick math, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, kids, they're just like, they're not looking outdoors. They're just like this while driving for hours and stuff, like see see things, have a conversation without like always looking at your phone because you got a notification, and it's tough, man. It's a different time now,
Mm, mm,
Uh, we kind of chatted about that before about just checking in with loved ones, whether it's a phone call or like a virtual like this.
mm.
It means a lot because when you lose someone and you can't have this kind of conversation,
Yeah.
the last thing you want to feel is any regret, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I hope that others who may be questioning their their actions to not, just be active,
Mm,
try to encourage them and hopefully let them see what that could be better for their lives as well. Because I can't force the hand of anybody else. You don't want to discourage anybody by constantly harping on you need to get your ass to the gym and all that kind of stuff, right? Like you need to kind of like slowly lead their hand and hopefully let go of their hand and have them do it themselves.
yeah.
And it's hard. We always want to be very I'm gonna say strong headed and maybe push the envelope a little bit, but we also have to realize that people make decisions on their own with the influence from others, but they have to make the decision on their own.
Yeah. 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 No, I totally agree with all those points. And I personally try to, lead by example, not harp on it, but just show that, hey, I'm twice your age, 2.5 times your age. I'm not sitting on my butt vaping, scrolling.
Yeah,
I'm doing work.
yeah,
I'm not gonna say it to them,
yeah,
and I'm not doing it out of a place of ego. It's just who I am. It's what I do. And
yeah,
and how they view me is none of my business, of course. Of
yeah.
course, I'd like them to look at it in a good light, but they might be like, but who
Sure.
cares? You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, our decisions are in life are made by our own selves, right? I mean, for you, for example, right? You may, hey, you know what, Grant, I'm gonna move to Hawaii. Like, holy cow, okay, let's go. And look at here we are years later, man.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying it. And it's like it's scary. Change is scary, right? But
Mm.
sometimes change is necessary, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
in our lives, no matter what avenue it falls in, whether it's in the gym, moving across country, changing jobs. It's change is scary, but sometimes it's necessary because we can get so complacent and just staying in the comfortable lane, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take a risk in order to make change, because you know that can make it better for ourselves. In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And look at everything as kind of a lesson, a learning experience, an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to see, where you're at, um, what you're really interested in. Not
Sure.
this is the end all be all. If Hawaii didn't work out, I could have went somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah. But like you
Hold on, you muted again.
beautiful city of New Jersey and now Hawaii, right? But those experiences are, you know, never going to be taken away. And I still remember telling me of how I used to make pizzas in Hokkaido up on this mountain, and it was snowy, and like years later, I still remember those experiences that you told me about because you painted that picture for me, and it still has that effect on me.
Mm,
As you say I have an effect on you, and those experiences are something I hope that my kids will enjoy in their life because I want them to remember that too, as so they can tell me the same kind of stories and paint the
Mm,
picture.
mm,
And growing up in Hawaii, especially for me, right, we just were only on the islands. Going inter-island was a big major excursion for us if we did. Up here, I'm able to go up to Canada in like 3 hours, or I go to Oregon constantly, or whatever. I think that's what I enjoy about living
mm,
up here, is that I can do that. Now, I wish I could live in Hawaii. I wish I could, be and have breakfast with my mom and say good
mm,
morning to her and stuff like that. But it's just the path I'm currently on right now. Right?
mm.
And I'm fortunate to have like virtual stuff where we can communicate and instead of like reading a letter or a postcard, like we're having a good conversation, actually seeing your face. You look like when I saw you last time. So like it's comforting, right?
Mm,
And knowing that we haven't missed a beat even after all these years. And
yeah,
that's how you know that it's so strong knit,
yeah,
that friendship we forge and the values that we kind of share in common.
yeah, yeah. It's an excellent point, and I value that. And I mentioned earlier that I scroll Instagram and I see you still lifting, and I see you at your daughter's softball games. I see you, with family, friends, doing all these things, and we don't text as often or call as often, but that checking in, and when I see that, I know Grant's in a good space. If I
Yeah.
don't see you lifting for a while and I see this other stuff, then I'm gonna worry and I'm really gonna have to I'm really gonna have to reach
Yeah,
out.
man. It's like the same thing. Like I see your like little surfing videos and all that stuff. Like man, you're enjoying life, man.
Yeah,
You talked about it and you executed it and living it. And that's amazing. Like it's cool. I mean, that's what life should be, right? Shared experiences and not reading it from a book. You're actually living it.
yeah, and writing that story as we go.
Yeah, for sure. Bro. Ah,
Thank you, brother. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate you, bro. Much more hollows, and it's an honor to be part of your podcast. And it's amazing how everything. You're good friends with someone when you can have a conversation like we just saw each other a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
And that's what's important, and that's how you know when you have good people in your life because you you can relate. You know, we share the same values, and we care and trust and love one another, and that's how everything should be in our lives. And
for sure.
there's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now and stuff. But you and others in our life that have the same kind of positivity is what makes it worth fighting for, and that's what matters. So we
Absolutely.
gotta we gotta cherish every moment, man, because those moments can be gone in a second. You know, and that's how we gotta see things.
Absolutely. Well stated. How can people find you?
Hey, I just have Instagram. You know me. I still don't have Facebook, bro. Bad. Yeah, Instagram, Higa Monster. I still have a YouTube channel. Every once in a while, I'm not so active on it, but I still throw up a few videos on there. YouTube is GK Higa. But yeah, and if anyone's ever in Seattle, you want to get a workout, and if they're a friend of yours, you tell them to reach out to me. You know where to find me, bro.
Absolutely. What's
All
what's
right,
the
bro.
saying? A hooey hole. See you,
Who
brother.
you know, bro? Guarantee, automatic, bro.
Love you. Thank you, Grant.
I love you
Take
too.
care, brother.
What's
See you.
wrong, bro?
Bye bye.